Okay, the A, page Lamed Gimel, first column. This is not the famous Ledodi. This is the second Ledodi. Okay, it says Ledodi, I'm to my beloved is to me. Rabbi Shushan grazes amongst the rose bushes. So he says, Hine Shana yesh pleiser allen. A rose bush has 13 petals. Yeah, petals. Yeah, petals. Keneged Yud Gimel Mechil and Rachmim, corresponding with the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim, which are in the pasuk and Mikal Kamech and the pasuk Kel Rachum. Shemisham Umakerat Tshuva, from the 13 attributes of mercy is the source of tshuva, because what happened by the Egel? After the Egel, Moshe Ben got forgiveness, so Hashem said you get the 13 attributes of mercy. Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. So therefore, Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim is the source of tshuva. So he says, a rose has 13 petals, and therefore that corresponds with the 13 attributes of mercy, which is the source of tshuva. These for Hashem to carry the sin. These Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim revealed themselves in the month of Elul. Then it's an auspicious time. Why is the month of Elul an auspicious time? Because from Rish Chodesh, Moshe Ben went up 3 times to Har Sinai. Right? The first time he got the luchas, he came down, broke them. Second time Hashem was still angry. Third time he went up to Rish Chodesh, came down Yom Kippur 40 days later, and then Hashem forgave the Jewish people. So that's why Elul, the whole month of Elul, through Yom Kippur, is a time of mercy. Those are Mem, Yem Sha'alim, Moshe Rabbeinu, all of us Shalom L'Marim. When Moshe Rabbeinu went up to heaven, the Kaaba Luchas Achreinis. Okay? And it says, Ma Yamim, the Gemara says, Ma Yamim Rishenim Beratzim. Just like the first 40 days, before the Jews sinned in the Egel, there was mercy of Hashem giving us the Torah. The same thing, the third set of 40 days is also with Rachmim. Therefore, what's the connection? The pasuk says, I'm to my beloved is to me who grazes amongst the rose bushes. What does rose bushes have to do with Ani Ledodi V'dei Dili? So he explains, Ani Ledodi V'dei Dili is an acronym of Elul. This he doesn't say, but the last letters of each of the 4 words is a Yud, which is 40, which represents the 40 days from Elul through Yom Kippur. And then the pasuk says, what's the connection between Areh and Shushanim? Because the 13 attributes of mercy are the source of tshuva, and the rose bush also, the rose also has 13 petals, of course, which is from the 13 Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. So he says, what is this whole concept that in the month of Elul, the 13 attributes of mercy? He says, I understand that Aseret Yemei Tshuva are Yemei Slicha, Mechila, Lekach Eimrim Ba'aseret Yemei Tshuva Vayaver. But why is Elul, the whole month of Elul, why is that Chodesh Rachmim?
Moshe went up twice, right?
3 times. He went up the day after Matan Torah. He went up to get the luchis for 40 days. That's when Hashem taught him the whole oral Torah. He came down, the Jews broke the luchis. He went up the next day, which was that he came down 17th of Tammuz. He went up the 18th of Tammuz for another 40 days to get forgiveness. Hashem still did not forgive. Then he came down Erev Rosh Chodesh Elul, the day right before Rosh Chodesh Elul. Then he went up again Rosh Chodesh Elul until Yom Kippur, and that's when Hashem forgave the Jewish people. So he went up 3 times. The first ones were merciful, last one's merciful, the middle one's anger.
So between the two, how did the humanity live if Hashem is angry?
The revelation of the divine presence left them. The revelation. How does evil exist if it's totally anti-Hashem? It still exists from Hashem, from the external level, not from a revealed level of Elokus. He went skiing.
It's a whole mountain coming down.
How would he think Har Sinai was? It wasn't Mount Everest. It was a small mountain.
Third time's a charm.
What?
The third time's a charm.
Yep. Well, the Indian is like this. So why is Elul Lepel Yemei Rachmim? I understand so it's made tshuva, you know, it's the Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. Hine tshuva ein ala alaveinas dafka. Tshuva is not only for sins. Why? It's because the Gemara says tzarich liyes kol yamah b'tshuva. If the Gemara says your whole life you have to do tshuva. I mean, not about us, but in those days people didn't sin a whole day like we do. So what does it mean all day you have to do tshuva every? Elabachin is tshuva. What is tshuva? Shav meidar keharishim. He returns from his first path. His first path might be holy, but he returns to become even greater. Okay? So therefore, what is the union of tshuva? Tshuva is not for sins. Tshuva is to return to Hashem. Any level you're at now is to go higher. If it's from sins, it's tshuva, and if it's from being good, to become better. So he says, to understand this, will be an inyan. In the Gemara Kedushin, there's two opinions. There was a debate going on in the Beis Medrash. The Gemara says, what is greater, learning or action? Is learning greater, Gadol Talmud or Maaseh Gadol? Named of a Gamru, they made a count, majority opinion, and they realized Talmud Gadol Shemeveli de Maaseh. Learning is greater because it brings to action, which is really a very strange answer. The question is, what's greater, learning or action? So the answer is, learning is greater because it brings to action, which means action is greater. So why are you saying learning is greater? Okay, whatever. So he says, to understand what their argument is. Or what are they arguing about? One pasuk says, Hashem says, I permeate, I fill heaven and earth. Both. And it doesn't mention Shemayim. Another pasuk says, we say every day, the earth is full of His glory. It doesn't say heaven. One pasuk says Hashem's glory is permeating heaven and earth. Another pasuk says only earth. How do you reconcile these two things? There's the permeating level of godliness. There's the encompassing level of godliness. What does mamale kol almin mean? That's ha'aretz ha'alokus. The revelation of godliness anim shel benivram lachiyusa meyasar maimaris yihi or. Mamale kol almin is, again, we learned this, but every Maamar brings out a new point in Mamale and Sefer. It's not just a repetition, but anyway. So Mamale kol almin means the level of godliness that permeates the world, each thing according to its own level. So that is automatically a limited level of godliness because it's coming into limited inanimate, plant, animal, and human. Atzilis, Beriya, Yitzir, and Asiya. So it's coming into various different levels. Shobislabish bepanim yusam. This revelation of godliness permeates in their innards. All the way down to the essence. If this level of godliness comes down within them, to be their life. I mean, it gives it life. And it divides itself into billions of levels. Okay? So what is Mamale kol almin? It's a level of godliness that comes into every particular individual thing. Meaning, like he's going to say, inanimate, plant, animal, and human. Inanimate is different than plant, which is different than animal, which is different than human. Now, in an inanimate, you have rocks, you have earth, you have water. So then there's another, in Mamale kol almin itself, even in it and inanimate, you have different levels. The godliness in water is not the same godliness in a rock, which is not the same godliness in the earth. Then more detailed, no two drops of water have the same power of Hashem keeping in existence. So that means this drop has this particular power of Hashem in it keeping in existence, and this kernel of sand has its own unique particular level of godliness that nothing else, no other thing has.
One drop of water is different from another drop of water?
Yeah, because it's a separate drop. I'll give you a very simple example. Take a dropper, yeah? Squeeze out one drop. Then you squeeze out another drop. Are they two different drops? So they each have their own unique power of Hashem, making this drop exist and this drop exist.
You put those two drops together, or a couple of water, it's made of a multiple, or it like turns to one?
They have something in common between all of them, yeah? But then you have salt water, and you have regular water, and you have this water and that water, and every drop is different. When the Gemara says, "Ein loch eisem omata, she'en le'mazel la'mako b'yvayim le'gedal," Gemara says there isn't a blade of grass that doesn't have its own mazel, meaning its own spiritual power, that hits it and says grow. Then the Gemara clearly says each blade of grass has its own mazel, so to speak, a power of Hashem that keeps it in existence. That doesn't only mean grass, it means every drop of water, every kernel of sand, every piece of dirt, whatever. Then that's only on earth. Then you got heavens. And
So godliness is the same, no matter what. However, the revelation is different.
correct,
Is that correct?
correct,
So there is less revelation in a stone than in an animal.
correct,
Is that correct?
correct,
However, the stone comes from the higher source than the animal.
correct. You're confused?
He's listening, Rabbi.
No, this is. You're right. No, so what's not understood about that?
You got it.
That the stone comes from the higher source than the animal. If the revelation is higher, how could the
Because the revelation is too great in the stone to become revealed, so it's concealed.
it's like, so therefore pork is higher than anything else.
Shosh Kibusat Tameis originates in a higher level. Don't try to eat it because you're not going to be able to elevate it though.
What's the difference between revelation and Torah?
Same thing.
Same thing?
I mean, Koach is a revelation. There's a million types of revelation. There's a neshama in the body. Okay, that neshama could talk. That neshama could pick up heavy weights. Yeah? A dead body can't do that. Now, is the koyach of the neshama talking the same koyach of the neshama as picking up weights or walking or riding or doing a million different things? Right. And then you have pratis. Then you have detailed. Let me ask you a different question. How many, what do you call them, cells are in the human body? Whatever it is. More than 10. Yeah? Does each cell have its own unique power from the neshama? Or whatever the cells come from?
Yes.
That means our bodies have trillions of details. Now you have, generally you have head, body, feet. That's general. Then you go into more details. In the head you have nose, ears, eyes, and then in each one you ask a ophthalmologist about the eye, they can make, there's how many things in the eye, how many nerves in the eye, okay, how many ear, nose, and throat doctor, these doctors that don't know anything, whatever, cannot crank, yeah?
Very salam.
So, in a foot, yeah? So there's billions of trillions of details in the foot. Yes? each detail is different than another detail. Because then it wouldn't be a detail. If it's the same, it's not a separate detail.
It's a miracle that you're alive.
True, that the body functions. When a baby is born healthy, yes, there's trillions of things literally in the cells that could go wrong, God forbid. So can anybody deny the fact that the birth of a baby is a miracle? You have to be a moron to say it's not a miracle. That you have, let's say, forget trillions, thousands of different things in the body, God forbid, that can go wrong, and yet it's perfect. So that's a miracle. But that's all Maamar Kolam. Even in the neshama, in the nefesh, that's called nefesh, that gives life to the body, that's all the koyach prati of the neshama. Maamar Kolam of the neshama in the body. Then you have the neshama comes into the body, it's alive. You know, head, foot, it's all equal. What? What?
He's speaking Chinese.
I don't know what he's talking. Talk louder, man. I got older since you left. Talk louder.
Because it's every part of the body. It goes into every part of the body.
The neshama's koyach prati goes into the brain that it thinks, and the eyes could see, and the nose can smell. But in each one, it's not stam that the neshama goes into the eye to see. In order for the eye to see, there's billions of stuff in the eye to function. But that's all the neshama functioning through the physical eye. Right? Okay.
So koach is one level of revelation.
Correct. Now it depends what you mean koyach. Koyach picking up weights, or koyach hariyah, koyach hashmiya, koyach this.
No, the second one. Koach.
It's a detail.
What's the definition of koach?
Strength. Power. No, actually power.
What's Maamar?
A power of nothing. Bittul. Oh, I did drugs. Okay.